Hello and welcome to the library's webinar, Introduction to Citation Management with Zotero. My name is Julie Pisantini and I am the e-learning librarian at the Regenstein Library. I'll be leading today's session. The workshop outline is to provide an overview of Zotero, to install Zotero, both the standalone and the browser connector, to set up online sync to save your citations to the cloud, and then to practice saving citations from the library catalog, article databases, and elsewhere. And finally, to use Zotero with your documents to insert formatted citations and bibliographies. Zotero consists of what's called the standalone. That's essentially desktop software that runs just like any other program on your computer. But it's essential for the standalone to connect to your browser, since Zotero extracts citation information from the web. So in addition to installing the standalone, today we'll walk through installation of the browser extension or connector. You must install at least one browser connector, but you can install all three if you happen to use Firefox, Chrome, and Safari. But really it's only necessary to install the browser connector for whichever browsers you'll be using with Zotero. So let's walk through these installation steps now. To start, exit Microsoft Word. If you have Microsoft Word open on your computer while you're installing Zotero, because Zotero also installs a bit of code into Microsoft Word, sometimes there are issues. So start by closing Microsoft Word. Next, in any browser, go to zotero.org. I'm going to do that now. On the Zotero homepage, you'll see a large red download button. Go ahead and click that button. And then you'll see two options. I describe the Zotero standalone. An older model of the Zotero software is what's called Zotero for Firefox. This is a Firefox add-on that runs only in Firefox. The functionality between the add-on and the standalone is essentially identical. You don't lose or gain really any functionality if you choose one or the other. So because the standalone is the newer model of the software, and because it's compatible with more browsers, I'm going to recommend that you install the Zotero standalone. To do that, again, click the large red download button and step through the installation steps. These will vary depending on whether you're on a Mac or on Windows. When you're done with that, return to this Zotero downloads page and click to install the browser extension for your preferred browsers. Again, it's only necessary to install one. If you know you only use one browser, such as Chrome, you only need to install the Chrome browser extension. And again, the installation steps will vary depending on your operating system and your browser. Next, let's set up online sync. Again, go to zotero.org, and this time in the upper right corner, look for the Register link. Click that link and create a new user account. Unless you set up online sync, Zotero saves citations to your computer. It's not a web-based tool by default. It's saving citation information for you on your hard drive. Setting up online sync is what enables you to use your citations on multiple computers, and it also ensures that your saved citations are backed up to the cloud. So if something should happen to your hard drive, your citations will be safe. To finish setting up online sync, we're going to add the account information that you just created to the Zotero standalone. So next, find Zotero standalone, which you've just downloaded and installed, and launch that software. Because you've just installed Zotero, you'll have no items saved in your Zotero library. But because I've used the software before, I have items appearing in my library. Go to the Actions menu. That's this gray gear cog. And from the Actions menu, choose Preferences. Next, click Sync. This is where you'll insert the account information that you just created. And you'll notice that by default, Sync automatically is checked. This is what ensures that your saved citations are backed up to the cloud automatically. Finally, I'd like to walk through one more configuration, and that's to set up PDF indexing. I'll tell you more about what this does after we've set this up. Again, in the Zotero standalone, in the Actions menu, under Preferences, this time go to Search. On the Search menu, near the middle of the window, look for a button that says Check for Installer. Again, because I've already installed this, the button in my version of Zotero reads Check for Update. Go ahead and click this button. And now let's take a look at what this does. PDF indexing means that if you have a saved PDF on your computer, you can simply click, drag, and drop it into your Zotero library. And Zotero will attempt to extract the citation information for this PDF. If you right-click and choose Retrieve Metadata for PDF, Zotero will scan the OCR text to try to identify the citation information. And now the PDF is attached to this citation in my Zotero library. This won't always work. You may have saved PDFs on your computer that do not have OCR text. And in those cases, when you choose Retrieve Metadata for PDF, Zotero will fail to recognize the citation information in this PDF. We'll talk a bit later about what you can do if this happens. But now let's look at ways to save other citations to your Zotero library from things like the library catalog. From the library homepage, I'll do a simple keyword search of the library catalog. And once I'm viewing a list of search results, I'll see a Zotero icon in the toolbar of my browser. And I see when I move my mouse over the file folder icon that this is in fact a Zotero icon. I see there's a tooltip that says Save to Zotero. When I click the file folder, Zotero takes a moment to recognize the citations on this page of search results, and then presents me with a menu from which to select the citations that I wish to save. I can select just one or many, any number of citations, or I can select all and click OK to save those to my Zotero library. And I'll see in the bottom right corner of my browser a window alerting me to which citations are being saved and the status of that action. Then when I click the Zotero standalone, I can see that those citations were in fact added to my Zotero library. Next, let's look at saving citations from an article database. I'm going back to the library homepage. This time I'll click on the Quick Links tab, and I'll select JSTOR from the list of databases. Again, I'll search for a keyword, view a list of search results, and again I see the file folder icon. Zotero has recognized that there are a number of citations on this page, and it gives me this file folder to indicate that I can save any or all of them. If I were to view a single item, the Zotero icon changes. Now it represents a journal article. So Zotero has recognized that this citation is for a journal article. And I can click to save just this one item. This time I won't select from a menu. Zotero will simply save this citation information directly to my library. And I see that happening in the bottom right corner. In some instances, Zotero will be able to save the full text PDF. In this case, it failed. But in some cases you'll see that a PDF is also saved to your library. So here I see the citation information that came from JSTOR. Next, let's go to the open web, any website. I'm going to go to the CDC. And on the CDC website, I'll find a page to save to my Zotero library. Again, the icon has changed. This time the icon represents a web page. And when I click this icon, Zotero will capture the information I need to save this as a web page. And here I see that Zotero has saved the citation as well as a static snapshot, a copy of the HTML file for this page. This is valuable if your research takes you to pages on the web that are dynamic, that frequently change. Zotero will save a copy so you have a record of what the page looked like on a certain date. What can you do if you drag and drop a PDF, but Zotero is not able to extract citation information for that PDF? There are a number of things that you can do, but what I like to do is search Google Scholar. So I will open the PDF, identify the article title, in this case, on the meaning of the name Mono. and search for that article in Google Scholar. When I find the citation, I can save it to my Zotero library. And once it's saved, I can drag the article PDF and attach it to the citation in my library. Now that we have a number of citations saved in our Zotero library, let's practice inserting those citations into a document. I'm going to open a paper in Microsoft Word, and I'll start by placing my cursor at the point in the text where I want my first citation to appear. If we're using a footnoted style such as Chicago, I'll place my cursor just outside of the period where I want the footnote annotation to appear. And next, I'll find the Zotero toolbar in my version of Microsoft Word. This will look different depending on whether you're using a Mac or a Windows machine. On a Mac, in Word for Mac, you'll see two options. One, this Scripts menu, which appears between the Window menu and the Help menu, which when you click, you'll see a Zotero text-based menu. Or you can choose to view the graphic Zotero toolbar. Under the View menu, Toolbars, you'll find Zotero Bibliographic Management. This opens a floating graphic menu, which you can move wherever you'd like it, and that functions just as the text menu does. So again, my cursor is placed at the point in the text where I want my first footnote to appear, and in the Zotero toolbar, I'll click to insert a citation. But before Zotero will let me do that, first it asks which citation style I'll be using in this document. In this case, I'll use the Chicago Manual Style 16th edition Full Note. Full Note refers in Zotero to what we typically think of as Chicago style, the footnoted style. I'll keep the default set, click OK, and then I'll search for the citation in my Zotero library that I wish to insert at this point. I'll begin typing to search my library, and Zotero will return matches to my search. When I find the item I want to cite, I'll click it and hit return or enter to send that citation to my document. What we see is that Zotero has inserted the footnote notation, and at the bottom of the page, inserted the citation itself. Let's do that again. Here's another sentence which includes a citation. I'll put my cursor at the end of it, right where I want the footnote notation to appear, and again I'll click Insert Citation. This time I'll search for Cook, and I'll click on the citation to insert it, and then I can click on the citation in the search bar to add something like a page number. I'll click Return and click it again to send this information to my document. And again, Zotero inserts the citation. You might have noticed that there's an inconsistency in the spelling of this author's name. In the body of my text, the author's name has an E at the end, and in the citation it does not. If you need to correct errors in citations, you'll want to do that in Zotero, not in your document. And this gray text is an indication to you of what text is coming from your citation manager and what you've typed in the document itself. So if you need to make a change, what you'll want to do is select the citation that you need to edit, put your cursor anywhere inside that text, and then go to Zotero Edit Citation. When you click on the citation, Zotero gives you the option to open in your Zotero library, and then you can make the change that's needed in your library. Once that's done, the change will not sync with your document until you go back to the Zotero menu and choose Refresh. Click Return and your document will refresh. At any point you can insert your list of cited references. Again, you'll want to start with your cursor where you want the citations to appear. And then you can choose Insert Bibliography from the toolbar. This will update dynamically as you add citations to your document. If you're using Microsoft Office on Windows, depending on the version that you're using, you'll either display an Add-ins ribbon on which you'll find the Zotero toolbar, or you'll see a menu item for Zotero specifically.